What's up everyone, I'm Frovlax and today I'm trying to Nuzlocke Pokémon Alpha Sapphire with only Psychic types. The rules are the usual: play the game in set mode, no items in battle and no overleveling. If a Pokémon faints, it goes into the box, and I can only catch one Psychic Pokémon per route. If you want, check the description for more detailed rules. Let's be honest, we all know how busted Psychic types were back in Gen 1, and although they're still a solid type with a bunch of strong Pokémon, I haven't used that many on my previous playthroughs, so this is gonna be a good way to put them to the test, and since I've never played the Gen 3 remakes, I'm hoping to have some fun with this challenge. But enough talking, let's just jump into the game and see if we can beat this challenge. The starter choice for this run doesn't really matter, so I'm just gonna grab Torchic. At least that way, we won't have an advantage when battling against May. Now, we go to Route 102, where we catch our real starter, a Ralts that we named Bonkley, and he has a naive nature which is pretty decent. We have to deal with Team Aqua right away, which I thought I would have to use some struggle tactics to deal with, but apparently we learned Disarming Voice at level 11, and that means we can easily take out Poochyena with a couple of hits. But now we have to go to the first gym, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, I love the glow up they gave to the gyms in this game. Anyway, it's time to go challenge Roxanne. That starts with Geodude, and this is not gonna be an easy battle, cause Ralts is pretty frail, so my best option is to lower Geodude's attack with Growl. The first couple of hits do a lot of damage, but we recover a bit with an Oran Berry, which helps a lot, and after dropping his attack 6 times, we start build up double teams, and once we finish setting up, we only have 9 HP left, but it's finally time to start attacking, and we take out Geodude with just 2 confusions. We level up after beating him, but we still have to deal with Nosepass, so we go back to using Growl, and once he's at -3 attack, we start using Confusion again. Now, all we have to do is pray to Arceus that she doesn't crit us. Luckily, she only managed to hit us once, and we brought Nosepass to red health. But she uses a potion on it, and we go back to spamming Confusion and praying, until we finally take out Nosepass, beating Roxanne and getting the first gym badge. Well, that was a pretty rough start. And after saving Pico from Team Aqua, we set sail to Dewford, where we can access Granite Cave. There, we have a chance of catching an Abra, but we all know how hard that is. Still, I chose to take that risk, and we successfully catch him with a Great Ball. I know people will doubt it, but we pretty much had a 50% chance of catching it. So, we named him Hungry, and he has a modest nature, which means this thing is going to be busted. And Hungry immediately thought it was lunchtime and grabbed a spoon, and just like that, it became a Kadabra. It's time to go to the second gym and challenge Brawly. He starts with Mashup against Bonkley, but as you can imagine, this battle wasn't much of an issue. We just used Confusion until we bring him down. Next is Makuhita, but it turns out we hit a massive Confusion crit for the one shot. The second badge is in the bag, and well, this was a nice break for us. After delivering the letter to Steven, we go to Slotport, where we have to deal with Team Aqua again. We have to battle 2 grunts back to back, which could be a problem, but the first one just uses a Carvanha that we one-shot with Disarming Voice. The second grunt has 2 Pokémon. The first one is a Zubat, but you guessed it, we take him out with Confusion. Lastly is Carvanha, but we all know how that goes. Apparently, I was worried for nothing. I didn't think I was going to one-shot everything. Anyway, we evolve our Bonkley into Kirlia. We head to Route 110, where we have to battle May, and she starts with Shroomish against Hungry. We hit a powerful Confusion, but a Stun Spore left us paralyzed, and since we are slower now, Shroomish hits a Headbutt before going down to another Confusion. May sends out Slugma now, that does some decent damage with Incinerate, also burning our Oran Berry. And another Incinerate brings us down to 9 HP, but we didn't get paralyzed and we finish it with Confusion. Lastly is Marshtomp, so I immediately swap for Bonkley, and since he only used Foresight, we got a free switch. We do massive damage with Magical Leaf, but we got hit with a powerful Mud Shot that also slowed us, so we could be in trouble. But May decided to use Mud Slap this time to lower our accuracy, but since Magical Leaf can't miss, we just take out Marshtomp with it. Well, this battle could have gone a lot worse. After that, we reached Mauville City, and what the hell did they do to this city? It looks like a maze. Now, we have to go to the gym and challenge Watson. He starts with Magnemite against Hungry, and we hit a Psybeam that does half of its HP and confuses him, while we got hit with Thunder Wave. He ended up hitting himself, so we finish him with another Psybeam. Next is Voltorb, that just uses Charge and survives the Psybeam on a Sliver, also getting confused. Watson uses a Super Potion just to get hit with another powerful Psybeam. Voltorb uses Volt Switch and does some decent damage while swapping for Magneton, that takes some damage from Psybeam, and on next turn, he missed Supersonic and we got fully paralyzed, and to my surprise, he ends up missing 2 more Supersonics, which allow us to defeat Magneton with a couple of Psybeams. Well, I'm not gonna lie, there was no strategy here, just pure luck. Voltorb comes back out, but he just uses Charge, and it goes down with one final Psybeam. Well, Watson really spoon-fed us this badge. It's time to go to Meteor Falls, and while I was trying to get our next encounter, I triggered a Team Aqua battle by mistake, and this could be our demise. It's a double battle against Admin, Shelly and a Grunt, and they start with a Grimer and a Mightyena, which is a pretty bad lineup for us, but this is happening. We got hit with Swagger and we end up hitting ourselves in confusion while Shroomish just War Seeds the Mightyena, but luckily Grimer just uses Sludge on Shroomish. We swap for Hungry now that has to take a bunch of damage from Snarl. Made it like 3 damage to Mightyena with Mega Drain, but another Sludge from Grimer just takes out the Shroomish. She brings in Marshtomp this time and hopefully it will be more helpful. Now we take out Grimer with Psybeam, but after getting hit by another Snarl we got pretty low. So once Marshtomp finishes tickling the Mightyena, we send out Bonkley that also gets pretty low with the Snarl, that to make things even worse also lowers our special attack. But we still do enough damage with Draining Kiss to take out the Mightyena, recovering almost all of our HP. Lastly is Skyvanga, and since he used Swagger on Marshtomp, we can just use a couple of Draining Kisses to bring him down. Well, this was a close one and could have gone sideways really quick. But at least now we can grab our third teammate, a Lunatone that we named Stoner with a docile nature. It's neutral and I'm not one to complain about that. We have to battle Hershey now that starts with Mightyena against our Hungry that sets up the Reflect, but takes massive damage from Assurance. We recover a bit thanks to an Oran Berry, but we swap for Bonkley that hits it with Swagger, but we got rid of the confusion thanks to a Persim Berry. We do a bunch of damage with Draining Kiss now and we got hit with Snarl, but even with the special attack drop we still do enough damage to bring down the Mightyena with another Draining Kiss. Hershey sends out Sharpedo now that hits us with Swagger, but luckily we didn't hit ourselves and we did half of its HP with Draining Kiss. Sharpedo uses Screech this time and we snapped out of confusion, so we easily take him out. Lastly is the Golbat, so I swap for Hungry that gets it with Confuse Ray, so I swap again, this time for Stoner that easily tanks the Wing Attack, but it also gets hit with Confuse Ray. And after 3 turns of tanking Wing Attacks and hitting ourselves, we finally hit the Hypnosis, which means we can safely swap for Hungry that finishes him with Psybeam. But that victory came at great cost cause Hungry got over the level cap, so we have to box him until we beat the next gym. Luckily, we can grab some new teammates before the next gym. The first one is a Spoink that we named Bouncer, with a jolly nature which is not ideal but we'll manage. Next is in Lava Ridge Town, where we grab the egg that hatches into a Wynot that we named Punchback. It has a hasty nature, another not ideal nature, but it's okay. And after adding it to the team, we evolved it right away into Wobbuffet. Now we are finally ready to go to the gym and challenge Flannery, that starts with Slugma against our Stoner, and we miss 3 Hypnoses in a row while she sets up Light Screen, followed by Sunny Day, and then a overhit that we take like a champ. And after all of that, we finally hit the Hypnosis. Now we can use Rock Slide that one-shots Slugma. Well, I guess I do more than what I thought. Next is Numble, that we put to sleep before finishing him with a couple of Bulldozes. Lastly is Torkoal, and you guessed it, we also put it to sleep. Now we just spam Rock Slide. He ends up waking up and he used Sunny Day, but he already was on Rev Hell, so it didn't really matter, and we easily defeat Flannery, receiving the 4th badge. We can finally access the desert area in Route 111 and catch a Baltoy that we named Beyblade with Adamant Nature, and since he's more of a tank anyways, I think it's fine. Before reaching the next gym, our Bonkley evolved into Gardevoir, and Hungry grabbed another spoon, proving he's actually starving now. Anyways, we have an Alakazam now. Also,
push the goddamn button! You heard what she said.
Well, it's time to go to the 5th gym and challenge Norman, that starts with a scary Slacking against our Hungry, that sets up the Reflect while he uses Yawn. I send out Bonkley now that traces the worst ability in the game, and I don't remember why, but we use Draining Kiss instead of Psychic. He hits us with Encore and we swap again for Hungry, that finishes him with Psybeam. But Reflect ended, and Vigoroth comes out, so I set up Reflect again while taking a massive Feint Attack crit that left us pretty low. But I did the math and I should have survived another hit, so we kept going. But we survived the next Feint Attack with only 1 HP, so I'm not sure if my math was right or if it was just luck, cause I wasn't expecting to be that close. but since I'm faster, I finish him with one last Psybeam. The other Slacking shows up and I have to swap, so I send out Stoner that he's able to tank a feint attack thanks to Reflect, and now we put him to sleep with Hypnosis, and after that we just use Psychic until he goes down. Those feint attacks were really scary, but we managed to get the 5th badge. As you all probably know, we get Lattes in this game, but I'm gonna name her not today because I won't use a legendary in this run cause that would be too busted. But we did get an upgrade to our team because Bouncer evolved into Grumpig. And after reaching 4-3, we immediately go to the next gym and challenge Winona, that starts with Swallow against Stoner. She uses Double Team, which made us miss Rock Slide twice, but after taking some damage from a couple of aerial aces, we managed to hit Rock Slide for the one shot. She sends out the ace, Alteria, but we do massive damage with Rock Slide while easily tanking the Dragon Breath, but unfortunately, we got paralyzed. She uses Roost now, meaning she'll lose the flying type for the turn, so we won't do much damage. And on the next turn, we tank another Dragon Breath before hitting one last Rock Slide for the KO. Skarmory shows up now, so I immediately swap for Bouncer that takes a bit of damage from Steel Wing. We miss the Charge Beam, so we have to take another free hit, and once we finally hit the Charge Beam, we get a special attack buff, only to be destroyed by a Steel Wing crit that takes out Bouncer, our first death of the run. I send out Punch Bag now that takes the Steel Wing and finishes Skarmory with counter. Lastly is Pelipper, so I send out Hungry that easily takes the Water Pulse, but it gets confused, and between Protect, us hitting ourselves and the Aerial Ace, we're pretty low before even hitting him, so I swap again. This time for Bonkley, and we do massive damage with Psychic, but he confuses again with Water Pulse. But this time, she wasn't so lucky, and even with her using an Hyper Potion, Pelipper still goes down to a couple of hits, defeating Winona and getting the 6th badge. Right after that, we find this shiny Tropius, and apparently people got mad when I ran away from shinies, so I caught it. I never had this much luck in my regular playthroughs, but it's already the 3rd shiny I find while doing these challenges. I'm gonna start naming them to keep track, and since this is the first one we caught, this is going to be shiny 1. Once we arrive at Lily Cove City, we accidentally trigger the next rival battle against May, and she opens up with Swallow, but luckily, we had Stoner up front that easily tanks the Aerial Ace and hits the Stone Hedge for the KO. But she sends out Swampert now, so I immediately swap for Bonkley that loses a chunk of its HP to Rock Slide, but on the next turn, hits an insane Magical Leaf crit that one-shots it. Next is Macargo, that takes massive damage from a Psychic while doing a bit with Flame Burst. And to finish him, we just use Draining Kiss to recover some HP back. Lastly is Breloom, but it's an easy one-shot with Psychic. Well, even unprepared, May wasn't much of a challenge this time. And right after the battle, our Beyblade evolved into Playdol, a pretty good upgrade to our team. Now we can go to Mount Pyre, where we have our next encounter, a Meditite that we named Brainstorm, with Impish Nature, which is pretty decent. And once we reach the top, we have to battle against Matt, a Team Aqua admin, but he only has one Sharpedo that hits a super effective Poison Fang on our Bonkley, but it goes down with a single Draining Kiss. I feel like the admin should have more than one Pokemon by now, but whatever. We go inside the Safari Zone where we caught a Zato. We named it High. He has a sassy nature and that speed drop is definitely gonna hurt us. The next stop is in the Team Aqua hideout, and I just love how it looks in this game. We have to battle Matt again, but still, just one Sharpedo, so we just do the same thing and we easily beat him. Honestly, I just wanted to show the hideout. Now that we have access to the Super Rod, we can grab our final encounter, a Staryu that we named Patrick, with Asty Nature, which is pretty good, but since he's not a Psychic type yet, we won't use it. It's time to go to Mossdeep City and the 7 Gym, where we have a double battle against Tate and Liza and Lunatone and Solrock. Usually, double battles are pretty tricky, but once we Mega Evolve our Hungry, we immediately one-shot Solrock with Shadow Ball. High also goes for Shadow Ball, but it doesn't do nearly as much. Lunatone uses Light Screen, but it doesn't matter. Our Hungry just obliterates him anyway. Well, this was a pretty easy gym badge to get. Now that we can finally use Dive, we can grab some blue shards and trade them for a Water Stone with this dude, and this means we can evolve Patrick into a Starmie. We also evolve our Brainstorm into a Medicham, and honestly, our team is looking pretty good. We have to go to Seafloor Cavern next, where we have to battle Archie one last time, and he starts with Mighty Anna against our Beyblade. We set up the Reflect while he uses Scary Face. Now, I send out Bonkley while he uses Stunned, which is the best case scenario. We then use Moonblast to delete the Mighty Anna. Next is Mug that we also one-shot with Psychic. Crobat comes out now, so I swap for Beyblade because I know Reflect is about to end, and we have to take 2 acrobatics before using Reflect again. We have to tank another, but this time we do a bunch of damage with extra sensory. Now I bring out Bonkley again while Crobat uses acrobatics. He then uses Minlook just to go down with a Psychic. I was scared of Poison Fang for nothing. Lastly is the Mega Sharpedo, that I really thought it was super fast, but apparently we outspeed him and one-shot it with Moonblast. I was worried about this battle, but clearly I overestimated Archie. I guess it's time to save the world, so we head inside a cave of origin where Kyogre is waiting for us, and I'll be honest, I thought I was going to be able to just run away from this guy, but apparently we actually have to beat him. So, after reversing to its primordial form, we challenge him, and we start by Mega Evolving our Hungry to balance things out. We also used Light Screen, which allows us to easily tank the Ice Beam. We hit a massive Charge Beam crit that gave us the special attack boost, while Kyogre goes for Aqua Ring. We continue with Charge Beam, bringing him to red health, but Kyogre hits an insane body slam that almost took us out. Luckily, we didn't get paralyzed, so we just used Psychic to finish him. But since saving the world isn't enough, we go to the last gym where we challenge Wallace. But we brought something special for him. He starts with Love Disc against Bonkley, that we can finally Mega Evolve and obliterate Love Disc with Thunderbolt. Next is the Ace Milotic, that survives the Thunderbolt and hits a powerful Hydro Pump in return, but with one last Thunderbolt, we get a KO. Now, we have to deal with Whiscash, and I go for Calm Mind, but Earthquake just left us pretty low, so I'm forced to swap with High to dodge the next one. We go for Psychic, that does half of its HP while taking some damage from Waterfall. We use Psychic again, expecting to KO, but he survived on 1 HP, forcing us to take another Waterfall, and Wallace uses an Hyper Potion now, so I just keep attacking. But he managed to survive on red health again, so we have to tank another Waterfall before taking him out once and for all. But we are super low by the time Silo comes out, so I swap for Brainstorm that takes some damage from Aurora Beam. We then go for Power Up Punch, that does a lot more damage than what I thought, while taking another Aurora Beam that left us on half health before finishing him with one last Power Up Punch. Lastly is Seeking, but we are at plus to attack now, so we can just take it out with a Thunder Punch. And just like that, we got all the 8 badges. We are almost there. All there's left is to cross Victory Road, where we have our final rival battle. Wally starts with Altaria against our High, but with a Dazzling Gleam crit, we leave Altaria on red health while taking a bit of damage from a Aerial Ace. But with another Dazzling Gleam, we easily take it out. Magneton shows up now, so I swap for Beyblade, that gets his defense lowered with Screech. We then go for Earthquake, that he survives thanks to Sturdy and hits a Threat Attack crit that does some decent damage. But since he's at 1 HP, Rock Smash is enough to finish him. Next is Roselia, so I send High back out, that takes almost no damage from Petal Blazer and just one-shots her with Psychic. We have to deal with a Velcati now that barely does any damage to us, and it goes down with just 2 Psychics. Lastly is Gallade, so I send out Bonkley for the perfect duel, and we got hit by a Psycho Cut that doesn't do much, so we just Mega Evolve and one-shot it with Moonblast. Honestly, Wally did pretty good for someone with just a Ralts for half of the game. We finally arrived at the Pokémon League, and after doing the final adjustment to our team, it's time to challenge the Elite Four. The first one we have to deal with is Sydney and his Dark types. He starts with Mightyena against Patrick, and he failed to use Sucker Punch because we just set up to Reflect. We then hit a massive Dazzling Gleam that almost one-shots, but he used Swagger, so I swap for Brainstorm since he's just gonna use a full restore. Now we Mega Evolve, and he used Power Up Punch that probably gets a really good eye roll cause we one-shot it. The next one is Absol, but we also one-shot it with Power Up Punch. Shiftry comes out and flinches with Fake Out, but on the next turn, we take him out with Fire Punch. Sharpedo shows up now, but it's an easy one-shot with a Power Up Punch. Lastly is Cacturne, but you guessed it, we one-shot it with Fire Punch. I really was expecting some more troubles from the Dark types, but I'll take it. Now we have to go deal with the Ghost types, and I'm really expecting some issues here since all of our team is weak to them. But we have to do it. We go challenge Phoebe that starts with Dusclops against Hungry, and we Mega Evolve it right away and throw a Shadow Ball for the one-shot. She sends out Sableye now, so I swap for Bonkley that hits it with Fake Out but finishes him with Moonblast. Next is Bayonet, but it goes down with a Shadow Ball. The second one shows up, but it gets the exact same treatment. Lastly is Dusknoir, that survives the Shadow Ball and hits us with Hex, but Bonkley had a Cassie Berry to reduce the damage from super effective ghost moves, so it pretty much did nothing to us. And with one last Shadow Ball, we get a win against Phoebe. I'm very disappointed in the first 2 Elite Four members. But we are only halfway there. And now we have to go face the Ice-type specialist Glacia, that starts with Glalie against our Brainstorm that hits a massive power-up punch that Glalie survived on 1 HP and sets up Hail. Glacia used the full restore, but we just one-shot it this time. Frovlax comes out now and it dodges the Fire Punch thanks to her Snow Cloak ability, and hits a powerful Shadow Ball that forces to swap for Bonkley that traces her ability. But it didn't matter cause she still hits a Shadow Ball that we can easily tank thanks to another Cassie Berry, but we also got our special defense lowered, and on the next turn she dodges our Shadow Ball again and hits us with hers, that left us on 1 HP. And I thought Hail would take us out right there, but it stopped right on time. We have to swap again, and this time we send out Punchbag that takes some damage from Blizzard. Then she uses Hail again, so our Mirror Coat did nothing. But on the next turn she hits us with Blizzard again and we destroy her with Mirror Coat. The second Frovlax shows up and it goes for Blizzard, so we also took her out with Mirror Coat. The next Pokemon is Walrein, and I have to swap, so I send out Patrick that easily tanks the Blizzard. Now we go for Power Jam, that does about half, so we only have to tank another Blizzard before finishing him with Power Jam. Our last Pokemon is another Glalie, but since this one knows Freeze Dry, we have to swap for Hungry that easily tanks it. Glacia basically just stalls with Protect and full restores, but eventually we take out Glalie with Psychic. But this battle was actually pretty close. Of all the Elite Four members, I didn't expect Glacia to be an issue for us. It's time to go challenge the last Elite Four member, the Dragon Master Drake. But almost every member of his team has a quite weakness to Ice, starting with Altaria. So we ditch Ice Beam to Patrick and we let him do his thing, one-shotting Altaria. Next is the Ace Salamence, but we also one-shot it. Drake sends out Flygon next, that also gets one-shotted, and the second Flygon shows up, but we just repeat the process. Lastly is Kingdra, and I just send out Bonkley while he yawns, only to Mega Evolve and one-shot it with Moonblast. This is a very disappointing last Elite Four member. We are finally on the last stage of this run. All we have to do now is to defeat this champion, so we go challenge Steven, that starts with Skarmory against Patrick. We used Thunderbolt and we paralyzed it, but he still managed to put spikes on the field. And as Steven uses the full restore, we set up the Reflect. Then we hit another massive Thunderbolt as he continues to use spikes, so we just finish him with one last Thunderbolt. Armaldo comes out and he survived the Surf on 1 HP and hits us with a massive X Scissor, but we just take him out on the next turn. His next Pokemon is Credilli, so I swap for our Brainstorm that takes some damage from the spikes, and we also took a lot more damage from Giga Drain than what I thought. We do some decent damage with Power Up Punch, but it just recovers a lot back thanks to Giga Drain. Honestly, I chose to sack Brainstorm here because I'm scared of the rest of his team, especially Metagross. Sorry buddy, you didn't deserve this. We send Patrick back out, that also gets hurt with spikes, but it recovers a bit thanks to a Citrus Berry and hits a powerful Surf that takes out Credilli. Steven sends out Agron now that survives the Surf thanks to Sturdy and hits a massive Stone Edge that left us on just 10 HP. I know he'll use a full restore now, so we set up the Reflect, and with another Surf, we brought him back to 1 HP, but he hits Stone Edge again and Patrick goes down. This time, we send out Beyblade, and since Hagron doesn't hurt us that much, we start to buff our defenses with Cosmic Power, and once we are maxed out, we take him out with Earthquake. Steven's Claydol shows up now, and so it began the most boring fight I've ever had. We just used Psychic while he used Extrasensory or Reflect. This is clearly the climax of this battle. Anyways, we eventually took him out, and thank God because I was running out of PP. It's finally time to face Steven's ace, Metagross. I saved the Alpha of our team just to be sure we could deal with him. We go for Earthquake and we got a crit. Also, how the hell am I faster than him? What? We got hit by Zen Headbutt, but it only did 5 damage. He then hits us with Giga Impact, but we still tank it. And we use another Earthquake that leaves him on 1 HP. And I was hoping he would go for one last full restore to make things a little harder for us, but it just goes down with one last Earthquake. Well, I'm disappointed. This was the most anticlimactic champion battle I've ever had. It looks like I really overestimated Steven and his Mega Metagross, but I guess that settles it. Psychic types are still busted. We had an insane team, that's for sure. Still, I had a blast playing this remake for the first time. Also, Megas are such a fun feature, and as I'm writing this, a new game has just been announced, Pokémon Legends Z, which made me pretty excited. What are your thoughts on it? Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate you all. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, comment and share it with a friend. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!